Style. What changes you personally saw? Basically, how you viewed the country before and after.
Okay. I still, well, at that time I was still pretty young, but then, I don't know, well, I may not know exactly,
Mm-hmm. That's okay.
I would just say with my point of view, okay?
Okay, that's good. I want to hear
Yeah.
your story. I'm actually really interested. So can you tell me a little about yourself? You said you were from an island. Like, where were you born?
Yeah.
Where were you from?
Okay. Okay. So at that time, well, my parents are from the city, but then when I was born, at that time was in 1965. That my father, he was a doctor at that time, and he volunteered to work, to go out to this island, all the way to the south of Vietnam. It's a very small island, and very small populations, and very poor. Like it's very inconvenient. So
Mm-hmm.
they don't have like water sources. They don't have TV. They don't have electricity. So not many people want to come out to that island to live there.
Okay.
So mostly my father want to go because he want to, to be able to work on the people that who need it most.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was just born, then they moved to this island.
Okay. So were you born in the city before?
I was born in the city near Saigon, like Ho Chi Minh City
Yeah.
right now, but before it was, they call Saigon City.
Yeah.
But now they call the same thing, but they call Ho Chi Minh City.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, you found that out, right?
Yes.
Okay, so so I grew up. So since when we grew up in this island, they call Phuket. If you search on the internet right now, that island is very popular. It's very.
How do you spell it?
It's spelled PHU
Uh-huh.
and then QUOC.
QUOC. Okay, I'll look it up.
QUOC.
Okay.
If you look it up, Phuket Island, and it will pop right up. And it's very popular on like travel magazine and stuff right now because it's one of the famous destinations for travelers.
Okay.
Now, but back then, like it was like well, I'm 48 right now, so 48 years ago, it's
Mm-hmm.
very it's like a very rural, urban place. Nothing there.
Okay.
So mostly the people live there. They just they are like fishermen or farmers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was life like when you were a child, like growing up? Did you see any violence? Did you see any military presence? What was it like?
Yeah. So at that time wasn't the communist yet, not until 1975. But back then, the lifestyle very peaceful in that island. But once in a while, I would say every like 3 or 4 months,
Mm-hmm.
then both sides of the soldier would fight. Like the communists would come out, but they would come out. They started shooting like after midnight or like 2 o'clock in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
and they will be like shooting guns.
Okay.
That's how I remember. And then we have to go under like a hut or under the bed to hide. And then you can hear like the communist soldier would come, and then they walk around town, and then they were talking stuff like, we should come into this house, and trying to catch younger boys or girls. I mean, boys at that time, like maybe like 18 or up,
Mm-hmm.
to pull them into their side into the water on their side or something. That's how I remember. But then they always come. They was sometimes I can hear like the next morning people would talk. Oh, they were in front of my parents' house and they say, "Let's go in and try to touch my father." But then they all say, "No, he's a doctor. Just leave him alone. He's helping people. He's not hurting anybody, and he's not on anybody's side. He's just helping, people and save lives. So just leave him alone."
Okay.
So they laughed. So a couple of times it happened like that. So that's why my father, would think, "Oh, they're not gonna harm him, or they're not gonna do any harm to him because he didn't do anything bad to anybody except for helping people on that island."
Okay.
So
you didn't face anything growing up?
No, not at all. Very peaceful, very nice environment. I love it there. I love growing up on that island. Not until like 1975 when the communists came in and the whole thing changed. Like their philosophy would be like they don't want anybody to have higher education. They don't want anybody else to be richer. They want everybody to be same level. Like they don't want you to how do you put this? They don't want you to know more than they.
So they didn't want to be inferior, basically.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
They want everybody to be like stupid and like you don't know any better in that way. Then they can, to my point of view, like so they can control you.
Okay. So this was before the war. Before the takeover. After?
Yes, this is after the takeover.
Okay.
After the communists came in.
Okay. So
yeah.
How was your lifestyle? Like, were you educated? Did you work, or did you just?
Well, at that time I was only like 14, so I was still a student. But nothing changed. But then, like they're trying to control the level of everybody else. Like they're trying to change the money way.
Okay.
Like before, if you rich, right, and then you have money, then you would buy gold or buy diamonds, and you save it. You invest into those stuff. So to control everybody else, so they will change the money. So let's say in America we have dollar, right?
Yes.
Like you have a dollar, then it was maybe to the Denise money is like 20,000 that currency. But then to control everybody, we have the same level. So even if I have $5,000 and then you have $10,000, everybody will have to cash on in. You have to hand over your $10,000, and I will have to hand over my $5,000. All that money, they will not use that money anymore. You have to give it all to them, then they give you a new type of money currency to use.
Okay, so they changed the currency.
Yes, they changed the currency. Like right now in America, we use dollar. But if they collect all of those dollars, you cannot use dollars anymore. You're gonna have to use different type of money. That's how they do it. So we have to give them all of the money, and then they just give every household like maybe $2,000. Every household. Doesn't matter how much money you give back to them. Every household we have only $2,000 to have back.
Okay, when did you start noticing these changes? Like, did you notice before all the American troops left, or did you realize it when Vietnam was united again?
Yeah, this is all after United soldiers already, went back home, and then they're all out.
Okay, so the changes happened after all the soldiers left.
Yes.
Okay. So other than the money, what part of your life changed? Were you still able to go to school? Did the society change?
School, but they don't. They you cannot be able to make like people. They cannot sell stuff anymore. They controlled by the government. So if you want to sell, let's say before my parents sell, let's say rice. We we have a rice store. Let's say like that.
Okay.
Then they will collect all of my parents' property, like all of the rice or whatever we have. They will take it all over, and they say that okay, they just gonna give us $2,000, $2,000 of their money, and then they will take everything else over.
Mm-hmm.
They will control all of that, so nobody can sell anything.
So even on the island, the government was very present. Like they came and they changed your life style.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. At first, before, like in the city, a lot of this stuff happening, but not in my island where I live at. Until later on, like maybe a few more years later, then they will start to do the same thing, just like in the city.
Mm-hmm.
But all of this happening way earlier in the city, like Saigon, and they're
Mm-hmm.
in the city more. But in the islands, not many things going on, so they don't affect it much. Not until like later on, like we left like 1978, so I would say like about 2 or 3 years later after they took over.
Okay. So
happening.
Did you ever think about leaving? Like, did you ever think about it?
At the beginning, the first 2 or 3 years, my parents didn't think of leaving. Not until like 2 or 3, like about 3 years later, then these things will affect that island. Then, when my 2 oldest brothers, they reached the age that they're gonna have to go to war. Like they about 17 and 18, then they will start to draft all of the 18 years old boys to go to. We are Vietnamese, and the neighbor will be the Cambodian. They fighting with Thailand and with all of the neighbor countries. They're still fighting. And China, so they will draft those young boys when they reach the age 17 or 18, and then they send it over to China or Thailand or Cambodia to be soldiers, and they will be fighting the war. But my parents didn't want anything like that happen to my 2 older brothers, so they're thinking of leaving.
Okay. So did they think about leaving by boat or by plane? How did they think, what were methods?
Yeah, because we're fortunate to live on that island, and we right there, we're surrounded by sea, by sea. So it's easier for us to escape by boat. We can escape by walking over the borderline to Cambodia and then into Thailand if we want, but then it's gonna be more dangerous and it's further and it's harder. Instead of we just escape by boat. So my parents got a plane. My father, we're pretty famous and pretty wealthy at that time. The time that we reached on that island, so the communists keep an eye on us because they know that sooner or later we're gonna leave.
Okay.
So they know that. They know. So they're guarding us too, and we all know that. So my parents, we have to use their friends. My parents told their friends to buy the boat, but like it's like my parents giving them the money, and they are the one who buying the boat, not my parents' name.
Okay.
Okay. So my parents' friends running the boat, and then they become fishermen. So they in and out catching the fish, and then started to the market, and then they go out again to the sea, and then catching some fish, and then they come back in. So every time when they leave the dock, they out there to catch the fish, like maybe a week or two, and then they come back in, and then they sell off all the fish, and then they just whatever they make sense, they just keep it, and then just protect all of this. And my parents would allow them, their family, to come with us when we escape, with us without charging them any money. Just like trading, for them to protect us too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So after a year later, we had to build up this relationship with them, and then one night we decided to leave. So
when was this?
This is in April 1979.
Okay. So this is during the first few years of the new government.
Yeah, the first 2 or 3 years we are flying with them, but then it got harder. The lifestyle got harder, and then my two brothers at the age of they cannot trust them and become soldiers.
Okay.
So we have to go. Yeah.
How did you leave? Did you leave by the boat that your parents paid for, the fishing boat?
Yeah. So at night, at midnight, when we went down to my parents' friend's house, and then we hit into their house first, and we wait until like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and we went down into the boat, and we go underneath the boat, and we hit under the boat, and then they just have stuff nets and stuff right on top, so they don't know the people underneath there.
Yeah.
Then we start to go out, but then there is a gate that people can search every boat to see if you're trying to escape to leave. So my father knows the guy is one of the guard at the gate where the boat in and out.
Yeah.
So my father is a doctor. He has the sleeping pill syrup.
Yes.
The sleeping medication syrup, and then he mixes it with the soft drinks, and then he gave one of the guards is he wants to go with us. So my father said, okay, he will let him go with us with him, but then he has some other guards also on the same ship with him too. So we have to give him that soft drinks and to give it to those friends his friends, so they can drink that, and then they fall sleepy, and then they fall asleep, and then we all leave.
So how old were you about this time?
About 15.
Okay. So your whole family left, all your brothers. Like, how many people were in your family?
We have 6 children. My parents, that's 8. And then we took another, and then my 2 brothers got their girlfriend to come with us too. They escaped with us too. And then 2 more friends of my father. So it's about 10. And then my parents' friends, the one who owned the boat, bought the boat for us.
Yes.
So their family is about another 15 or 20.
So in total, how many people?
At that time, I was talking about, I would say between 30 or 40 people on that boat.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, I know. They were like again underneath the boat. Yeah, we had to go underneath the boat there, and then we just lie down and just like again underneath there. And we all laughed. So it was peaceful, nothing dangerous. I mean, we just go. And then we went out to the sea. We went out to the sea, but then the boat went for like a day until the day.
Yeah.
The next day, like around 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening, then one of the engine broken.
Oh, okay.
They couldn't fix.
Mhm.
So at that point I was so young, so I don't know on the boat how many engines, and I really don't know. But I know like one of the engine didn't work,
Mhm.
and they tried to fix, but still didn't work. And then we out there between the border territory of Vietnam and Thailand, and at that point, those years are the years that the Thai people, they know that we escaped.
Mhm.
Then on every boat we would have gold and diamonds, a lot of good stuff, because we're trying to bring all of the stuff we have with us.
Did you see any
So
pirates or
those years,
anything?
the parrots, yes, yes. And those are the years that very hot.
Mhm.
The Thai people out there, the Thai fishermen, they out there waiting for us. Then when they see us, they gonna come and then they gonna do bad stuff to us. Like they trying to steal all the money, the gold, the diamonds, whatever we have on the
Mhm.
boat.
Did
We
they
know
go on
this.
your boat?
So yes, well, yes and no, because the first boat they came, right?
Yes.
And then we were hungry. We were out of water. So we say that we need rice and some food and some water for the woman and the kids on the boat.
Mhm.
So they say okay, and then they gave us a pot of rice and a fried fish and some water. And then we say that we need to help with the engine. Then they say that okay, they gonna like tie the two boats together, and they gonna help us to pull our boat with them into their onto the Thai side of the territory. You know.
Do you know why they did that? Do you know why they helped?
Okay, so we thought they were nice. We thought that we have the good people, but then they only pulled us for like maybe 30 minutes. They cut the tie,
Mhm.
and they just split away. So we say, oh, what's happening? What's going on? Why they left us? But then they went to get some more boats on their side, and then they chased us. So this time, the two boats chasing us trying to rob us.
Oh, okay.
This time. So we knew this. We saw this. So we knew, oh no, they both coming back to do some bad stuff to us.
Mhm.
So they on our boat, we're trying to, whatever, how many engines the fast we can get, they all like accelerate, and we all like trying to get away from these people. But then, their boat are bigger, their boat are stronger. How far can we get? So it's been chasing for like about an hour or so. Then, luckily, we saw one of the, I don't know what they call in English,
Like
but like
Coast
it's
Guard?
a Panama.
Like Coast Guard?
Like this is from Panama, and it's out there, and they are out there to find oil.
Oh, okay, like an oil rigger.
Yes, they have like a big, just like what do you call the thing that the Navy they can
Coast Guard?
name the airplane. Yeah, just like that, but they out there.
Mhm.
Like out there between Thailand and Vietnam, they out there. And luckily we saw them out there, and we're trying to run into them. So
Mhm.
these two boats from Thailand, they saw this, so they chased us, and then they saw we run into that direction. So they stopped. They laughed.
Okay.
So we run into this the Panama oil, whatever. I don't know what hole they are. I was so young at that time, and we told them what's happening out here. But then they said that our boat's still okay. Only one of the engine broken, but our boat's still okay. We still continue on for another day or so, and then we're gonna reach Thailand.
Okay.
But then we know that if we left them, then the other two boats still waiting for us out there.
Mhm.
So we said that no, we're not gonna leave. But then the people on this, the Panama oil thing, they won't let us come up. They said that they're gonna provide anything we need, oil, water, whatever we need. But then they cannot take us up there to rescue us. So my father talked to all of these people on the boat. So we come up with a plan that we're gonna turn off all the engine.
Yeah.
Turn off all of the engine on our boat and let the waves just push our boat and it hits against what they call the boat will be like, it's really big thing. I don't know what it is, but it's like it's all metal and our boat is just like wood.
Yeah.
So the wood against metal, so hard enough it will break.
Yes.
So the front part of our boat hit their ship, so it starts to be, broke. It starts to be broken, and then the water starts to leak into our boat.
Mhm. So they had to save you?
Exactly. Yes.
Uh-huh.
So
That's an interesting
finally,
plan.
at that time, then the water started to come inside the boat, and then they would let us rescue us onto their vessel.
Okay. So you said they're from Panama?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And they are like American. I was so young, and I remember they have to just like a basket, and then they hand down to our little boat, and then they start to pull us up into that basket, up into the vessel, and then they gave us water, let us bathe up there and change, and then they let us spend the night, and then the next morning they even have a shift. They lower their shift. Well, they're so big. They have so many shifts. It's like a cruise.
Yeah.
Bigger than a cruise. So they contact with Thailand or somebody, and then they let us. They use their shift, and then they brought us into Thailand border.
Okay. So
we were
how long?
Very lucky.
How long did your boat ride take? You said you started off in April, and
April, the midnight of April, and then I would say a day and a half. That's one full day, and then that's the next evening. Then we got rescued by the Panama vessel out there.
Okay. So once you reached Thailand, what happened? Did you stay there?
Yeah, so we got into Thailand. There's a refugee camp already set up in Thailand. So they shipped us into that camp. So we stayed in that camp for 3 months. So during these 3 months, then we're gonna have to do the paperwork, like the processing. So my mom sister lived in United States, in Virginia here, and her husband worked for the State Department. So we got contact with her, and then she processed the paperwork, and we got like 2 or 3 interviews in the camp, and then they moved us to Songkla, to Bangkok. Bangkok is Thailand's
capital, yeah.
Capital.
Yes.
And then we stay up there for another week or 2 to go through with all the paperwork, the shots, before we can get over here in the United States.
Mhm.
So in my situation, we were very lucky. But other families at that time, when they escaped by boat, they were not that lucky. You want to hear more about their stories?
Yeah, I've talked to other people. I've talked to some people who left in the early 90s, who went through re-education. I've talked to someone who got patronage so I've talked to a variety of people.
Yeah, okay, so you did talk to cases, yeah.
Yeah.
But okay, I thought you didn't. I was the only one who you interviewed because my case may not have much things to say about what actually happened, but a lot of cases worse. I mean, 10 times worse.
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of different people. It's very interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. So we got within. To my case, is very fast and nothing much challenge. But a lot of people went through a lot to get to this freedom country.
Like,
you know?
did you see any of that? Did you see people trying to escape or get caught while trying to escape? Did you see that when you're still in Vietnam?
No, because I was so young, so little, and I wasn't, knowledge enough to pay attention to that kind of situation at my age. But then growing up from here, came over here and met other people that we met in this country, and they told me their story. Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, even I, Vietnamese, and I still fell for them, and I still, cried of their stories.
Mhm. So if you had to tell someone, the later generation, of all the hardships you saw or you faced, what would you tell them?
You know, growing up in this country, I keep telling Kevin and Christopher all the time, like, you may take granted of a situation like here, a lot of freedom, a lot of good opportunity, but you don't even realize of how people challenge and sacrifice to have this kind of freedom, not even up until this point, at this day, back in Saigon, in Ho Chi Minh City, you still don't have the freedom of choosing of what school to go to. Even you smart, let's say like Kevin, you go, well, you know Kevin well enough. Like, okay, let's say Kevin case. I keep telling him like, I keep telling him about my situation of what I went through and what other people in my generation went through. I say, even like in Kevin's case, you smart, you have the full opportunity right in front of you. But if he is in Vietnam right at this point, he couldn't go far, because if you were born in a family that served in the old government. Let me put it. If your parents or anybody in your family, any relatives in your family serve in the old government, and now you live in the communist country, you cannot go far. If they find out, they will disconnect you from any sources of getting ahead. They won't let you go to school. They won't let you work. They won't let you have any opportunity to go far. Yes.
Okay, that was very interesting.
Let's say Kevin Case, if he's in Vietnam, and if my father did serve the old government, he cannot go to school.
So he wouldn't even be able to go to school at all?
He cannot go to school. They won't let you.
Okay.
They won't let him.
So your dad, he said he was an independent doctor. He just volunteered to work in the island?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So
Yes, that's why the first few years they just left him alone because he's just independent doctor.
Mhm.
But if he work for the old government doctor, like in the military doctors, then he will be in trouble from the beginning.
Mhm.
He will have to go into the call education camp,
yeah.
or it depends on what rank you were serving in the old government.
Mhm.
Then you will, they will base on that.
So a little about your family background. Were you like middle class, upper middle class, or?
I would say upper middle class, or I would say white collar. Yeah, because most of my aunts, uncle, they're all like teachers and doctors and registered nurse, and they're all in the medical field.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would say so.
So that sounds very interesting. Because I've talked to many different people. You're actually the first one I've talked to who didn't live near Saigon or outside of Saigon.
Really?
Mhm.
Really? Yeah. Yeah, a lot of them, most of them, I would say 80-90% that I met, they're all like from Saigon City or near Saigon City. Mostly like a few of Vietnamese people that I talk to, they don't even know my island. They say, where is that? Very small, and they're all the way to the south.
So do you feel like living on the island protected you from seeing the war as much?
Yes.
So
yes,
there's
definitely.
no fighting. There's no fighting on the island?
And there was no significant change. The first, I would say, definitely the first 3 years, there's no significant change in the lifestyle at all on my island.
Okay.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I really wanted to do this topic because I grew up listening to stories about family members and family friends who went through this. Like, especially my mom, she left later on. She lived in Saigon until the end of it, like the early 80s, I think.
Early 80s, you say?
Mhm.
Okay, so you Vietnamese?
Well, not really, because they were Chinese who lived in Saigon.
Okay, in Jhelum?
Yeah, Jhelum, yeah.
Oh, okay. So your mom is Chinese and Vietnamese?
No, just Chinese, but my dad's side is Vietnamese.
So, so they were in communist country. Well, they were in communist country before. I mean, they still under the communists at that time. I mean, before they left.
The thing is, my dad left when he was a child, so he never saw any of this. Like, he didn't even see the war. But then my mom did.
Oh. Oh, okay. So your mom didn't leave until like 1980.
Yeah, but then from there they went to France.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I can't really use her for my essay because she doesn't fit the story.
Oh, so she didn't even escape or anything. She went. She got out by airplane and immigrate. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright. So yeah. Because at the time communists came in 1975, my parents they had no desire of leaving the country. They said that they didn't do anything wrong. They are not that rich, that wealthy for them to be hating my family for any reason. We didn't, we're just helping people on this island, and we lived there for like at that time was like 14. Yeah, I was 14, so 14 years we lived on that same island, and my parents were like, they the position of helping everybody else. Like if my father, if people like the neighbors or people on that island, if they don't have the money to pay for the medicine or something, he will help them first, whatever. And until they have money, then they can pay. If not, don't worry about it. But the people on that island, they are very considerate and they're very warm. They don't have money, but they have a lot of love and thinking for you. They only live on, to go out there to fish and also just do the farm. So whatever they harvest, the best fruit they get for the season, they always brought it to my parents' house and they gave it to us. In trading of paying, they gave us food and stuff all the time, all year round. So we love them to death, and we love living there. It's so very peaceful,
Yeah. So, going back to your brothers, they avoided the draft entirely, right?
Yes.
So you said you had 2 older brothers?
My 2 older brothers,
Okay.
Yeah.
Because in my family situation, my mom's family, they sent their 2 older sons, to another country. They just told them to leave.
Yeah, we are about to do that way, but my parents, they say that we have the opportunity to leave the whole family together. Why not? If we live in Saigon City, then it's going to be harder to get out as a big family. But since we live in this island, we can do this. And you know what my plan? My father, when we were too young, I was 14, my older brother was 16 and then 18, right?
Yeah.
So my father plan was this. If when we escape, during the time we escape, and we're gonna get caught by the communists during the time of getting out of the gate or whatever, or somehow during the escape time, then we all gonna be suicide by my father. And we were too young, we didn't know this until we got over here. Then they told us. They say that my father and my mom already agreed on this plan. That if anything happened, we're gonna get caught. We're not gonna. They don't want all of us to be prisoners, and they don't know what's gonna happen. They may separate all of us. You don't know what they can do. I mean, they crazy mind, so they can do anything to anybody. And my parents will not put our family into that situation. So my father brought the medications. So if anything happened, he's gonna drug all of us, and all of us gonna die before they actually.
Did you feel fear when you were going in midnight? Like, did you know the plan before, or
no, not at all. No, because we didn't even know until one day like this afternoon. Then tonight we're gonna leave. Then this afternoon, like after dinner, like after just a few hours beforehand, like after dinner, then my parents say we all gonna stay in. Nobody gonna leave the house until like 10 o'clock. 2 of the motorcycle gonna come to our house and pick us up. Two each time they're gonna bring us to a friend's house. We're all gonna go under the basement and hide under the basement until midnight. And like 2 of us, but like two gradually we're gonna move down to underneath and hit under the boat. And then we will leave.
Did you bring anything with you?
Nobody know. My parents did prepare. They brought gold and they brought gold beforehand. So they prepared to go to the third country, and we can sell gold and we can leave. Get some money and leave on if anything happens. But then again, if anything happens, my parents gonna drug all of us, and we all gonna die if anything happens. Yeah. So fortunate, things went well, and we were.
Yeah, you're very lucky.
We were very lucky. Like, wow.
That's a really interesting story.
Oh, thank you. And I'm sorry about my accent and my
that's
language.
fine. Good.
Yeah, I'm not that fluent in English, though. So, but I'm trying my best.
Well, you're really good. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
So if I have any additional questions or clarification, can I call you and ask about that?
Sure, anytime you want. Just call me.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because
and I will try to
for this paper,
add more details.
For this paper, I'm writing it for my International Baccalaureate Diploma. So I need to write it by December, and then from there, I need to send it to the IB organization.
Wow. When you're done with the paper, can I have a copy?
Yeah, of course. I'll put one up.
I would love to read what you collected. It looks like a lot of mind, a lot of feelings, a lot of different story, a lot of real things happen on your paper. So I would love to have one to read.
Of course, I'll give you a copy when I'm done.
Thank you.
Okay,
yeah, that would be very valuable to me.
Thank you very much for sharing your story.
You're welcome. And if you have other questions and you need to ask some more details, welcome to call me anytime.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you for spending your time.